Thank you for coming this evening. My name is Christina Tobin, and I'm the founder of the Free and Equal Elections Foundation. I want to thank Free Speech TV, Open Media Foundation, our host broadcasters. The city of Glendale, I've been working with Jeff Allen. They're co-hosting the Glendale Chamber of Commerce, thank you. Infinity Park, great staff here. The National Free and Equal team, all of you out there in the U.S. watching now. Headcount.com, and our sponsors, Rock the Vote, Project Censored, Marley Coffee, Ballot Access News, Dr. Bronner's Magic Soaps, the Foundation for Harmony and Prosperity, Real News, Mint Press News, the Founding Family, Taxpayers Unite of America, my dad's organization, Nature Fast Food Inc. for donating yummy organic bars, and many, many others. Tonight, I'm going to speak the truth. I want to make it clear the things I'm going to say are not meant to offend any of the candidates that did not make it tonight, Democrat and Republicans, Bob Beaupre and Governor Hickenlooper. The purpose of my talk this evening is only to teach the American public. The reason I'm speaking tonight is to talk about one of the biggest frauds perpetuated on the American people. Before I talk about this fraud, I'm going to give you a brief history about my quest. In 1998, my father, Jim Tobin, ran for governor of Illinois, and he was wrongfully knocked off the ballot. I was 17 years of age, and I firsthand saw the corruption of the Chicago political system. From that point on, 4 years later, I helped successfully manage getting my dad on the ballot as lieutenant governor, and took a semester off college to do that. And I've helped dozens, if not hundreds, of candidates get ballot access, and also worked for Ralph Nader in 2008 as his national ballot access coordinator, managing and helping him get over 500,000 signatures to successfully get on the ballot in 45 states, plus DC as an independent. I don't believe in all. I don't believe in all the views. I would have done it for Dr. Ron Paul, but one of the biggest reasons Dr. Ron Paul said he didn't run in 2008 is because of the ballot access barriers. In 2008 was the creation of Free and Equal Elections. We hosted our first open debate at the Mayflower in Washington, D.C. with Ralph Nader and Chuck Baldwin. Since then, I've helped moderate over a dozen debates, Senate, gubernatorial, vice presidential, throughout the last 5 years of my life. The Free and Equal Elections Foundation's purpose is to expose the voting public to view of all viable political candidates, national, state, and local debates. Don't you think you have the right to know the ideas and positions of all viable political candidates? That's why we're here tonight. Which include the Greens, the Libertarians, Constitution, Independents, Democrats, and even Republicans. Now I want to speak on the national level. Let's look at the fraud being perpetuated on the American people. Everyone, pull out your cell phones if you can right now, please. I suggest you turn it on and Google right now the Commission on Presidential Debates Wikipedia. I'm also encouraging the national audience, C-SPAN viewers, Project Censored viewers, ballot access viewers, and of course, friends viewing the freeandequal.org website. This is a very easy process to do, as last week, a group of freshmen at Arvada West High School easily turn on their cell phones. Look next to you. Does a person next to you have Wikipedia now? Commission on Presidential Debates on their phone. Teach them how to do it. If you're younger, older, teach them right now. This is important. Now, in 1988, the League of Women Voters, you'll see up here, criticism, they withdrew its sponsorship of the presidential debates after George Bush and Michael Dukakis secretly agreed to a memorandum of understanding that would decide which candidates could participate in the debates. The League rejected the demands and released a statement saying they were withdrawing support from the debates because the demands, see it up there? The demands of the two campaign organizations would perpetuate a fraud on the American voters. A fraud on the American voters. Look up here, the board of directors, right here, Wikipedia. Who's on the board? Ralph Nader taught me this in 2008. Ron Paul, the former chair of the Democratic and Republican parties. Republican National Committee man, Frank Farncrop, former press secretary for Bill Clinton, Democrat. Michael McCurry, you may recognize under here. Some of the other names. It's pretty scary. So you're looking at the facts, the truth up there. Your cell phone is showing you the truth. Who wants to be lied to? The League of Women Voters calls it a fraud. Don't be a victim of fraud. The two parties are outdated. They are playing politics with every move. We see it. You can carry this truth around about, that is, the corruption with you on your cell phone and show your friends every day and thank Wikipedia founder Jimmy Wales and the internet. With our cell phones, we are now able to tell the truth, no matter how hard the political system tries to keep it from us. By suppressing by suppressing other political parties and independents through media control, ballot access control, and debate control, you can ask, what are the two major parties afraid of? I'll leave it to you. Doing the right thing is permanent. It's forever. Politicians, they come and go. We're losing our freedoms in increments. Now is the time to rise together peacefully and take our government back. Let's examine this problem. The two parties have no competition. We are here to change this. They want to rule without competition. They spend all their time competing against one another. We're here to change this. We are losing our freedoms because of the power concentrated at the very top. It's concentrated in the two parties. It's concentrated in the press. It's concentrated in big business, the powers to be. Mainstream media is probably the biggest problem. They've kept information from you. And I want to take a moment to thank you. C-SPAN, Free Speech TV, Open Media Foundation, the Cherry Creek Chronicle, and many more for their support. Thank you. KGNU Radio as well. It's time to create our own media. I repeat, it's time to create our own media. Yeah. What are the solutions? At Free and Equal, we're about the solutions to stop this fraud on the American people. The American people must be active to have other voices and choices. This organization, Free and Equal Elections, we're dedicated to helping people become active for change. The Free and Equal Elections Foundation is going to provide the tools to help accountable candidates get elected. The Free and Equal Elections Foundation is committed to putting the Commission on Presidential Debates out of business. In 2016, Free and Equal Elections Foundation will be holding presidential debates throughout the United States. Maybe here at Infinity Park, eh? What can you do to help finally? Become vocal. Use your cell phones and spread the truth about the corruption of the debates on the local, state, and national level. You should have the Commission on Presidential Debates Wikipedia on your cell phone. Please do that. Bookmark it. Share it with everyone. Use this information. This cell phone is our freedom, what we have left of it, the internet. Look at the platforms of all other political parties and independents. Donate to other ideas or donate to the Free and Equal Elections Foundation, because guess what? I have not sold out to big money. It's not an option. Not an option. So your support going out today, there will be a box, will mean a lot to me because I have put everything on the line to make this debate happen tonight. Everything. So it will mean a lot to me. Make an educated vote. vote. Go to headcount.com and vote on the way out if you aren't already a registered voter, because times are changing. Votes are going to matter, and they will matter in the future because we're taking our government back. And finally, what Free and Equal Elections wants is to have other voices in the debates and on the ballots. Use your cell phones to spread the option. We don't have to depend on mainstream media. We have our cell phone. This is our freedom to share the truth. And ending on this note, a young girl came up to me one day after I spoke at Pepperdine University, and she said, "Why do you do what you do? It isn't going to work. There's no way we can do this, a Liberty, event." And I looked at her and I said, "Then why are you here?" And she just froze, deer in headlights. And I said, "Because when you give up, you become a part of the problem." And that's what the system wants. And we cannot become a part of the problem. In fact, we have to say we're going to rise together positively, powerfully, peacefully, and take our government back. And we're going to start off by hosting an amazing open debate tonight here in Denver and Finney Park. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I am humbled and honored to introduce not only a comrade, a friend, Dr. Jill Stein, the 2012 presidential candidate, Green Party. Please welcome her to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Christina. Thank you, Free and Equal. Thank you to the Glendale Chamber of Commerce. Thank you to the press. The real press, which is actually here. We have a name for the guys who aren't here. We call them the O-press, and the re-press, and the D-press. Thank you who are here. You are the real press. Thank you to the candidates. Big thank you again to the students and the teachers of Arvada High School. You are fighting the fight. Thank you for leading the charge for our First Amendment rights, for our right to study them in the classroom, to keep them in the history books, and to assert them out in the streets. You are doing it all. We thank you for that. We need you for that. Big thank you also to Professor Griff and the Soul Pros. Thank you so much for bringing the energy and the vision of hip-hop, the people's music, here tonight, because that music is the voice of justice, and democracy and justice are two sides of the same coin. We must go forward together. Thank you for being here as a driver. And thanks to everyone who's here tonight in the auditorium and out on the airwaves. Put us all together, and this is what democracy looks like, and open debates are what democracy sounds like. Because when our voices are heard together, we can be an unstoppable force. That's why we have to have open debates. Colorado has had some 10 or 12 closed debates, and this is the first open debate. We need to turn those numbers around. Open debates should be the rule and not the exception. Because if it's not an open debate, it's really not a debate at all. It's just more of the same scripted politics that turns people off and keeps them out of the electoral process. I think that's why they design them that way, because they are quaking in their boots that we are going to be heard and we are going to stand up and take the future that we deserve. And we're here to do that tonight. So we need the open debates in order to put the solutions on the table that we deserve, that we could have right now. Like, for example, a system of cannabis and hemp that actually makes these substances available as public resources, not as big corporate monopolies to exploit the last dollar out of them and to keep them away from the people who need them as public health resources, as economic resources. These are people's resources. We need to talk about things like education as a human right. For free, tuition-free public higher education, which I believe, and many people believe, is a human right. It actually saves us money in the long run. It's like it's beyond the value of dollars to actually have an educated, fully empowered electorate. That's what democracy needs, and we need to have education available to everyone and to actually cancel student debt. We can do a quantitative easing on student debt and actually make those dollars do something productive, not just bailing out the corporations and the banks. And as you know, this is an historic moment right now because the force for democracy and justice is actually sweeping the planet. From the democracy revolutions that we saw a ways back in the Middle East, which are struggling right now, to Hong Kong, where it's erupted again with hundreds of thousands of people in the street for democracy, to the student and teacher revolts from Quebec to Chicago to Jefferson County, to workers who are rising up for living wages and union rights, to eviction blockades and the struggle for immigrant rights and indigenous rights. In this country, we are actually all immigrants, unless you happen to be an indigenous person. So it's time to respect the diversity and richness that immigration has brought to the United States. It's time to fight the fights against fracking and tar sands and nuclear power and GMOs. We need to put all of those solutions on the table because when we do, people will support them. The movement, as you know, has had some major successes. About a year ago, we actually stopped Obama's bombing campaign in Syria before it began. This time, they kind of pulled a fast one on us. They knew that if they gave us time to organize, that we would stop it. But we got news for them. We are going to stop it because there's an election coming up, and we need to hold our congressional candidates accountable for stopping that war, this latest new expanded endless war on terror. We can stop the funding for that war. Congress has a responsibility to do it. And we should not be voting for any candidate who's going to embroil us in more decades of trillions of dollars worth of war that makes us less secure, not more secure. We also stopped the first push for the latest corporate trade agreement, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is like NAFTA on steroids. It sends our jobs overseas, it undermines wages at home, and maybe worst of all, it totally throws sovereignty, democratic sovereignty, out the window by allowing multinational corporations to override our local, state, and national laws and regulation. It does away with democracy and replaces instead multinational corporations. So we have to say no to the Trans-Pacific Partnership. We stopped it the first time through Congress when Obama was trying to get fast-track authority so that he could then ram it down our throats. We stopped that bid for fast-track authority, and remember that name, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. This is one thing we've been able to do as a movement for justice and democracy, and we will stay on that. Hundreds of communities have stopped fracking, putting bans and moratoriums on it. We have shut down or taken off the books a dozen dangerous, toxic, waiting to explode nuclear power plants. GMOs have been banned in dozens of countries around the world. This is a beginning, and we can do much more by putting real solutions like this on the table in open debates, debating them, and deciding what we want to move forward on. And given the full information, the American people will continue to support those solutions. As you know, our economy's in deep trouble. Don't believe the hype. That crisis is not over. If you divided up the American economy as 100 people in the room with 100 loaves of bread, one person in the room has 50 loaves of bread. and the 50 poorest people in the room are sharing one loaf of bread. This is the American economy. It's absolutely unstable, unsustainable, and unstable. The real fix. 40 million students are in debt with few prospects of getting out of it. The climate crisis has come home to Colorado, as you know from the recent flooding last year in Boulder, the growing devastation from the pine beetle in the forests, which are threatening the tourist industry. We have a crisis in democracy, with our rights to protest, privacy, and press freedom all under unprecedented attack, worse under Barack Obama than under George Bush. And the NDAA gives the president dictatorial powers to imprison at will, indefinitely, without charge or trial. And police have been militarized and are assaulting communities of color today, but you can bet your bottom dollar it could be you tomorrow. Crisis. We have a crisis in peace as well, and U.S. foreign policy has become a flagrant pursuit of full-spectrum military and economic dominance with horrific results in Iraq, Pakistan, Nigeria, Syria, Libya, Palestine. The list goes on. Let's be clear. These problems can be solved. There are solutions to all of these crises, like a Green New Deal, which would put everyone back to work, end unemployment, and transition us to 100% wind, water, and sun by 2030, end the climate crisis, end the economic crisis, make wars for oil obsolete, and you know what? Best news of all, it pays for itself in health savings alone because we get so much healthier when we stop fossil fuel pollution. So it's a win-win, and the American people deserve to know that. Healthcare as a human right is another one that needs to be put on the table and discussed, because that too is a big money saver. And now that Ebola has come to the USA and the first victim has died from Ebola, it's important to recognize that health injustice anywhere is a threat to health everywhere. In this age of global travel, in this age where epidemics are catching fire and circulating around the world, we cannot afford to have countries or areas within our own country that do not have access to health care. The man who actually died did not have health insurance. And even though he told the healthcare provider that he had been exposed, that he was coming from Liberia, he was sent out. And dozens, scores, maybe even 100 people were exposed because of that critical gap in our healthcare system. This drives home that lesson that we all depend on health justice everywhere if we are going to be a healthy community, nation, and planet. So the solution to all of it, one more thing I should mention, these wars which keep expanding in the Middle East and beyond, where are those weapons coming from anyhow? 79% of them are coming from the US of A. Instead of creating more war to deal with the chaos and violence growing out of the last war and the last bombing campaign, there is no end to war with those kinds of supposed destructive, violent solutions. We need to just turn off the faucet. Let's create an arms embargo. We can initiate it, we can lead it, and shut down the weaponization of the Middle East and other countries where there is strife around the world. So these solutions are indeed possible. And having open debates makes it possible to begin discussing them. And I have a personal history with open debates that I want to just quickly share with you. The high point in those open debates was with Free and Equal in the 2012 presidential elections, and they deserve a big round of thank you. And our support for building open debates in this election now, in 2014, and coming up in 2016 too. Another high point was in 2002, when I was tricked, without knowing what I was getting into running for office for the first time in Massachusetts. And having no idea what I was getting into, I also got myself into a debate which I was entirely unprepared for, I must say, and terrified when they actually agreed to allow me into this debate. You know, I thought, oh, there's no way they're ever going to let me into a debate. You know, we can pound on that principle all we want. I don't have to worry about actually being in the debate. And then I got in, and, you know, it's like they called my bluff, so I had to go through with it. But coming out of that debate, and in the course of the debate, you know, I as a third-party candidate was treated like a political lunatic. And the kinds of ideas that I put forward, like we just discussed, weren't even rebutted. They weren't even acknowledged. They were so, like, off the charts. Well, when we walked out of the TV studio, I was mobbed for the first time, and the last time, I must say, by the press, who told me that I had won the debate on the instant online viewer poll. Showing how much, you know, who's the lunatic here? Is it the American public, or is it our establishment political parties? I think it's the establishment political parties that are the lunatics. So at any rate, after winning that debate, I was then barred from the debates for reasons that you can understand, and which I think drive home what a powerful tool debates are, and how exciting it is that we are building up this head of steam right now, this real campaign to open up all of our debates. And then the final tribute came in the final tribute to the power of open debates came in the Hofstra presidential debate in 2012, when my running mate, Sherry Honkala, and I showed up because we should have been in that debate, as Gary Johnson should have been in that debate, because we were on the ballot in enough states to actually be viable and potentially winning candidates. The American public had a right to hear about their choices. But actually what happened was that my running mate Sherry and I were arrested at the entry to the college just for showing up. We were arrested. We were not only arrested, we were taken to a secret dark site, and we were handcuffed to metal chairs for 7 hours, where we were surrounded by 16 Secret Service agents and police, because, you know, we constitute such a scary, you know, hardened criminal threat that they had to really keep us under lock and key. And then, after 11 p.m., when the debate was long since over, they sent us out into the cold of this winter night, you know, with no jackets, no cell phones, no money, nobody to call, you know, just tossed us out into the street, I think hoping that we would get lost there and disappear forever. But that itself was such a tribute to the power of open debates that, you know, that they had to do that kind of mobilization to try to silence us. So it makes the point, and I'll close with this. The political establishment is quaking in its boots about real debates, because real debates lift up the voices of real people and the real power of real people. And with that power, we can take back the promise of democracy and a world that works for all of us. I hope all of us will stay in touch, and we will help each other and Free and Equals campaign to make debates, to make all debates open debates, as we become an unstoppable force for the peaceful, just, green future that we and our children deserve. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. What a dynamite woman, friend forever there. And so hopefully we'll have Gary Johnson on our stage in the future. He's a great guy, too, with what he does. Yeah, former 2012 Libertarian candidate. So we're going to have actually a video playing right now, a former congressman from Ohio, Dennis Kucinich. Yeah.
This debate is important, not only to continue to direct public attention to this important election, but also to make a statement that debates for high offices ought to include all those who have cared enough to campaign, to circulate petitions, to qualify for the ballot. Our country's politics needs a lot of changes. But in order to get the openness that will lead to political reform, we have to start looking at the very process of qualifying for debates. The open Colorado gubernatorial debate makes it clear that if you've worked to gain access to the ballot, you deserve an opportunity to be heard, and your opinions, your views, your policies may be just what the voters are waiting for. So thanks to all of you.
And so I feel very humbled, a newfound friend here that I've met here in Colorado. He actually is a co-organizer of the 420 rally. Did any of you guys go to that? It's like over 100,000 people, and so I'd love to introduce him here. Where are you at, Mr. Martinez? There you are. He's going to come up and speak briefly about registering. Go out and vote. Come on. Thank you, Mr. Martinez.
Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing tonight? This is a cool little shindig, ain't it? Well, good evening. My name is Malachi Martinez. I'm more affectionately known as Tiny. I'm here to talk to you about voting. So, brothers and sisters, please get out there, register to vote, and get the vote out. Bring your friends and family. Multiply your vote. Help organizations like Free and Equal open the debates nationwide so that you can hear from all the candidates that are available. When you vote, make your vote consciously. In order to vote consciously, we must be able to hear from all the candidates that are on the ballot. As a Latino, it is important for my people to make our voices heard as well. Our voices can be heard at the ballot box. This will lead us to have a more level electoral playing field. When we allow for our voice to be heard, we can then have more choices to participate equally. You can be a truly informed voter at the ballot box. Hermanos y hermanas, por favor, regístrense para votar y luego vayan a votar. Lleven a sus familias y amistades. Multipliquen sus votos. Apoyen a organizaciones como Free and Equal para tener debates abiertamente por todo el país para que podamos escuchar a todos los candidatos. Cuando usted vote, vote conscientemente. Para hacer esto, necesitamos escuchar a todos los candidatos. Como latinos, es importante saber quién nos están escuchando. Nuestro voto es nuestra voz. Cuando permitamos que nuestra voz sea escuchada, entonces tenemos más opciones para participar por igual. Puede ser un votante verdaderamente informado en las urnas. Muchas gracias y buenas noches. Thank you all and have a good evening.
I just want to clarify. Thank you so much, Mr. Martinez. Another handout to Jill Stein, Mr. Martinez. And I want to clarify the ability of Infinity Park doing anything here is so there. We're not able to do it tonight at Free and Equal, but we hope to in the future because they can play all that audio stuff up there. So that's my error there. So are we ready for a debate? Are we ready for a debate? I mean, before I thank the candidates that are here participating in this open debate, unfortunately, Mr. Bob Beaupre couldn't make it because he had to speak somewhere tonight. And Mr. Hickenlooper could fly in on a plane, but then he couldn't move around his schedule. Beaupre could move around his schedule. Beaupre would do it if Hickenlooper would do it. They're not here, and they should be here. And I really wanted them to be here, and they're not. And so they're missing out. C-SPAN, thank you again. And before we thank our candidates, because we could not do this tonight without Mr. Hempy with the Green Party, Harry Hempy, Mike Dunafon. Mike Dunafon is an independent. Matthew Hess, Libertarian. We really could not have done this without the Glendale Chamber of Commerce. So let's welcome our moderators. First and foremost, Chuck Bonniwell, founding member of the Glendale Chamber of Commerce. And you guys, we have Professor Griff, a public enemy. Woo! Come on, give these guys a hand. As you guys know, Public Enemy is iconic for being socially conscious, and I've personally been talking to Mr. Griff for about a year or so, and I find him thus far to be of utmost honesty. I think he is a victim of mainstream media misportraying him in many ways. He is a great person, and let's thank him for really doing something outside the box and being here tonight. And our candidates are somewhere out there. If you're not busy, come on up. Matthew Hess, Mike Dunafon, Harry Hempy. Please join us. Thank you very much. And let's get started with debate. Now let's get started. Hashtag, now this is a debate, a real debate. Let's get started.
You know, I'd like to thank all the people coming tonight. I went to school in Europe, and for 60 years since World War II, center-right and center-left dominated, and they made sure that no other voices were heard. This last year, whether it's Britain or France, that's all breaking apart, and if you all are any indication of it, maybe it's breaking apart here too. So thank you all for coming.
And I echo that, and thanks for inviting me, and I really appreciate your hard work and kind of making sure the radical guy from Public Enemy gets here. So I just like to say that it's very critical that when young people are invited to a table that has not prepared a place for young people. So I'd like to give a quote from Frantz Fanon. I think he said, out of relative obscurity, each generation must find its mission, fulfill it, or betray it. And I think we will stand on the shoulders of these fine gentlemen and all those that came before us that's willing to open up and at least have the discussion where young people are concerned. Because young people need to hear truth that speaks to power in an unfiltered kind of way. And I think coming from the vibration of hip-hop, I think this is what this does. So let's give yourselves a round of applause, the candidates and young people that are in the audience. So I'm prepared to get thrown out of here tonight. I don't mind. But we have to ask some hard-hitting questions, and I think that's what we're here for, right or wrong? Okay? So since it's an open debate, I'm not going to start off. We're going to let Christina start off. I'm going to kind of come behind you with my question, all right?
Well, I wanted for the fellow moderators and candidates, not such a big deal there. Let's try to speak above the mic because we have individuals here that are hearing impaired and trying to read our lips. So specifically, Mr. Dawson from District 11. So if we can try to be visible. Thank you for coming here, Mr. Dawson. Thank you, Mr. Dawson, for coming here. And so let's get started our debate. The format is a cumulative format. It was created by the League of Women Voters. We've been using this since 2008. It's been amazing for over a dozen debates. We're going to have a 2-minute opening statement, a 2-minute closing statement. There's a total of 6 questions in full. Each candidate will be asked a question. We will go in order. First question, Harry. Second question, Dunafon, starting, and so on. And they'll have 2 minutes to answer each question. Now, what makes this cumulative format fun is that each candidate has a total of 3 rebuttals they can use any time during the debate. So let's say we ask a question, Mike Dunafon, Mr. Hess, Hempy, they can use those rebuttals up to 3 times, all on one question or spread out to engage conversation, to elaborate on a specific question that they may be passionate about. So thank you very much, and we'll go ahead and get started with our opening statements. Let's go ahead and start with Harry Hempy. Green Party.
Hi, I am Harry Hempy. I worked for IBM Corporation for 40 years as a computer scientist. I retired in 2008. I affiliated with the Green Party in 2013 and decided to run for governor when I realized the Democratic Party was unalterably co-opted by money and corporate interests, just like the Republican Party. Two parties are not enough. I want to introduce you to two Green candidates in the room. Scott Olson, please stand up. Scott is my running mate, running for Lieutenant Governor. And Gary Swing is there, running for Congress in the 6th Congressional District. Thanks for being here. Also, my wife Sally is here. Stand up. My daughter Kelly Kraut, and then Jordan, stand up. Jordan is an Arvada West graduate, and he was out on the street along with Arvada West students, and thank you everybody for doing that. I chose the Green Party because the Green Party stands for grassroots democracy, nonviolence, ecological wisdom, and economic justice. As Thomas Jefferson said, democracy depends on an involved, educated, informed electorate. Representative government requires the ability for any citizen to be a viable candidate for public office without regard to their political affiliation or their access to money. I need to stop. So thank you. It's great to be here, and thanks for participating.
Thank you for following the rules. Our cue cards are right in front as well. Mr. Mike Dunafon, Independent.
Good evening. Welcome to the Luxembourg of Liberty. The Vatican of Freedom is Glendale, Colorado. This experiment started in 1952. A group of farmers got together and said they were no longer going to be told what to do by the city next to them. So they held an election, and 47 people decided to become a home rule city. They got together and said, we will control our own life. We will decide who tells us what to do when we allow them to do that. What has happened to us now is we are giving away our freedom. We are handing the most precious thing that any man has ever owned, his freedom, to an intellectual elite, sociopaths that are willing to hire psychopaths to do their work. Every month in Glendale at a city council meeting, we take a law off of the books. The social compact that was designed by mankind was for mankind's survival. It was not to create a ruling elite. We have the opportunity to take back what we have surrendered. We must do that soon, or there will be problems in taking it back. So I applaud everyone here tonight because you care. We must spend time, or we will live in servitude. Thank you.
Matthew Hess, Libertarian.
Hi there. My name is Matthew Hess. My website is at www.matthewhess.org. On there you can read all about my platform, but I can summarize it in a single sentence for you. I want to leave you alone. And I'd like to take a moment to thank again Free and Equal for putting together such a wonderful debate. Christina, you are an angel. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, all the effort you put in. And so if you have money to give tonight, please support Free and Equal so we can get debates like this opened up across the country. Thank you. Now, the music for this election has already begun. It's a tired tune. We have heard this time and time again. It's the same song and dance. With your help this fall, I believe with the unaffiliated becoming the largest single voting bloc in Colorado, that together you and I can change the beat. So once again, I want to leave you alone. It's time for citizen representative government to take root once again in Colorado. I believe now is the opportunity, now is the time, and if we do not do so, we do so at our peril. Thank you.
So we'll start off with our first question at the left with Harry Hempy, and it's the one question I could not resist asking, and the only one tonight. And the question is, how does Colorado, as well as America, deal with electoral fraud, exclusionary ballot access laws, and exclusionary debates? Harry Hempy.
Since 2011, I've worked to overturn the Citizens United decision. I led Jamestown, where I live, to be the first town in Colorado to call for a constitutional amendment to declare expressly that corporations are not people, guaranteed constitutional rights, and that money is not speech that can be thrown around in elections. I co-founded the campaign in Boulder that same year called for the amendment and passed by a 3-to-1 margin in Boulder. And then in 2012, also by a 3-to-1 margin, Coloradans directed our congressman to introduce the amendment. And we are still waiting for that. The vast majority of voters want control of big money spending on elections, single-payer health care, labeling of genetically modified food, and better public services like education, higher education, transportation, and criminal corrections. Why don't we have it? 60% of voters want a third major party, according to the Gallup poll last fall. Why don't we have that? Two-party government is at the root of this failure of democracy. Colorado election law, written exclusively by Democrats and Republicans, perpetuates a two-party government, favoring the Democrat and Republican parties, is partisan. Gridlock and stagnation of government is the direct result of the two-party system in this era of uncontrolled spending. Voters want more candidates to choose from. I am working to fix Colorado's election law so any qualified voter can declare their candidacy for office and have a viable chance of winning regardless of their party or their access to big donors. Thank you.
Mike Dunafon.
Our system is corrupt because we are lazy. We are inept, complacent, and to blame for the situation we're in. No one in this form of government can perpetrate this upon you. We are the reason that we're in this situation. People say that it's not fair. Nothing's fair. They are in power, and we must remove them from power. That takes diligence, common sense, critical thinking, and a will to work for the common good of all of our offspring. They are going to be faced with massive debt and a government that pretends to take care of them. I don't want a government to take care of me. I want to take care of myself. And in the rare instance, when I find someone who cannot, I want to help them. We don't ask the question, am I my brother's keeper? There's another part to that question. What happens to my brother if he doesn't need a keeper? This is what's happening to us. We do not need a keeper. We need to spend time ensuring the one thing we have in life that makes life worth living, liberty. Without it, there is no reason to live.
And finally, Mr. Matthew Hess on electoral fraud, ballot access, and debates.
Okay, how do we combat electoral fraud and ballot access issues? Well, one of the first things was already addressed by Christina, and that's opening the debates, getting the message out there to the people so they can make an informed decision finally, not listening to the same DNR message repeated and recycled ad nauseum. So it's quite simple that combating this means getting involved at local levels, getting involved in your local election boards, getting third parties elected to office. Libertarians have an opportunity this fall to become a major party in Colorado. And what does that mean, really? It gives us canvass board access so we can directly combat election fraud at its source, the elections themselves. I do reject the notion of being another person's keeper because there's another thing I can liken to that. Another thing that has a keeper is a zoo. I am not interested in seeing other people in cages. That's why, again, I want to leave you alone. Thank you.
My first question is this. If politics is the science of governing people, why does it take $1 billion to elect anyone? But my primary question is, what are your thoughts about the influence of big money in politics and political parties? Oh, yeah, Donovan, Mike, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Professor.
No problem.
We've allowed this to happen because we've created a scenario whereby people collaborate to prevent competition and innovation. The reason they do that is to solidify their gains. Now, people say you're an anarchist, you want smaller or no government. I want to ask yourself a question about how much government you do need and the derivation of government. Where did it come from? We're a rather weak animal, and in the animal kingdom, we either collaborate or we perish. The reason for that is they're all stronger than we are. So how much government do you need, and how much will it cost you to get it? If you ask yourself the question about the amount of government you need, imagine this scenario. Two people, they've sworn on a Bible or whatever else they want to swear on that they're going to spend their lives together. 50% of those fail. Now you have a dissolution of all the property, you're splitting things up. So you say to the man, we're going to let your mother-in-law decide. Oh, no, you're not. And we say to her, we're going to let his brother decide. Rather not. So we need each other to be fair and equitable with one another. The third party ends up being the government, that fair person that helps you through that problem. How much more government do we need? Not much. But when it comes to money in politics and $1 billion being spent, that's nothing but solidifying your gains, and it's pure corruption on the part of cronies, on the left and on the right. It's all actually very, very simple. You can figure it out because government should work just like your family. People tell you it's too big to work that way. No, it's not. It's too big not to fail. We need to change it.
All right. Matthew Hess.
How do we get money out of politics? Don't give the politicians anything to sell. Simply put, you're getting screwed. The politicians are selling you out. They're selling your liberties down the river. Every day you wake up and you have fewer and fewer freedoms. We shrink government to its absolute constitutional minimum so it finally fits within the Constitution that authorized it, and you will find that politicians have nothing to sell. When there's nothing to sell, there are no buyers, and we can effectively remove money from politics. Thank you.
Mr. Harry Hempy.
Yeah, I already told you the work I've done to amend the Constitution, but until that happens, there's not a lot we can do. What we can do, though, in Colorado is change the election law just a little bit. If our elections division, how many of you got a blue book with the all the propositions and the judges? You notice in there's nothing about who's running for office, right? Let's just add to that blue book who's running for office, where their website is, maybe a little blurb that they put in, and then every voter will know who's running. Now, who knows until you get your ballot. Just that little piece of information from the state would give all of us a voice and a presence in every voter's home. I think that is a way we can start. And secondly, what we need to do, and this isn't getting money out of politics, but it does address the problem of the two-party dominance. We need a different method of voting than this vote for only one plurality winner system. We need a multiple choice voting system so that you don't have to pick just one person. You can pick who you want first and who you want second and who you want third. And if your first choice doesn't win, then your vote goes to your second choice. This voting for lesser of two evils is the biggest obstacle to fair elections that we have.
Mr. Dunafon, one of your 3 rebuttals.
Thank you.
Please.
Once again, the contradiction is we are trying to fix the state and at the same time asking the state to inform us. Don't ask the state to inform you about anything. Inform yourself. Take the responsibility upon yourself to do the hard work. And then when you do enter into the marriage of putting someone in office, hold them accountable. It doesn't stop the day you vote them into office. That's the beginning of the marriage. Make them do what they said they were going to do, nothing less, and demand more. The state is not a solution to the state. The state is the problem.
Mr. Hess is next for rebuttal, 1 of 3.
To address the issue of amending the Constitution, there is not a lot of good that will do when the politicians absolutely refuse to follow it. The problem with calling the Constitution as a living document is that living things die. I do not want to see our Constitution die off. I want to see it reinforced, and we, the people, are the ones responsible for enforcing it.
And that's it? Oh, okay. Okay, I thought so. Mr.
Yes, I will. Responding to the call for individual responsibility, as a society, we are more than a bunch of individuals. I'm not here just to take care of myself, and we can't turn our backs on everyone else. That's why we have government. Individual liberty and freedom means nothing if you don't have justice for everybody. The obscene inequality in America, with private bankers and corporations holding most of America's wealth, is not just. Executives' income and corporate profits have skyrocketed in the last 40 years, largely due to the demise of labor organizations. If we're left alone as individuals in This corporate sea, we're in bad shape. We need to work together.
Thank you.
All right. This question goes to Harry Hempy to start out with. Harry, the state of Colorado has approximately a $24 billion annual budget with $9 billion in general fund allocation. If you were elected and could either increase the general fund by 5% or decrease it by 5%, which of the two would you choose? And what programs would you supplement in the present government or trim?
And correction, it should be Hess. You're next in line, right, for third question?
I am. Thank you. What to cut? Well, let's start with all the agencies that don't follow the Constitution. Colorado's income is being extracted by the federal government. Over $46 billion in fiscal year 2013 alone was extracted from Colorado. Of that, Colorado received just shy of $30 billion back in the forms of grants, programs, and other incentives, and other trusts and whatnot. Well, that leaves us about $16.5 billion negative from our economy. Does that sound sustainable to you? It doesn't to me. It sounds like thievery. We need to stop taking from people. If we can cut just 25% of the budget of Colorado, we can end the income tax tomorrow. But what does that do? Not only does it give government less ammunition to prosecute you and persecute you for the regulations and laws that they arbitrarily enforce, but it also gives you a 5% raise instantly.
Yeah,
Hempy?
privatization of Colorado's assets is running rampant, and that's because we don't have enough revenue. Public roads, public schools, public parks, prisons are rapidly being auctioned off to the highest bidder, whether it be a foreign or a domestic company. State revenue has been decreasing for 20 years since the Slumlords Bill of Rights was passed, otherwise known as TABOR. The Colorado legislature has so far been impotent to address this fraud. My administration will conduct a comprehensive analysis of the state's revenue sources to create a stable revenue stream in which those who benefit most from the state have the most to pay. In particular, I'm going to wait for later on that. I'm done.
So Dunafon?
Thank you. Once again, we've got a $25 billion unfunded mandate staring us in the face, and no possible way to pay it. Those are the realities. We're going to face the reality, or we're going to pass it on to someone else. Now, you could provide sunset measures, sunset the departments that don't work, make them justify themselves. Stop doing internal audits, do external audits. You'd be surprised to find out that if you got college professors to teach their own classes, full professors, 9 hours a week, you would save the citizens of Colorado $50 million just by asking someone to do their job. So we are not thinking through the problem in its simplest form. It's integrity. We must have integrity. We must owe to each other what we expect from them, or none of it works. We can change this tomorrow, but we must be willing to start tomorrow.
All right.
To address the point of Tabor, Tabor is the reason we are not California today. Tabor took the power of taxation and gave it back to the people so they could decide what level of taxation was appropriate for them, not the legislators and bureaucrats under the Golden Dome.
Anyone else?
All right. To all three candidates, this is just kind of off the cuff. This is where I get thrown out of the room. How many of you guys listen to hip hop? Wait, this is an open debate.
Keep the government out our bears.
Okay. Well, just in case you didn't know, there was an open letter put out on the internet by a gentleman who attended a private meeting in Hollywood, California. And to make a long story short and a short story shorter, he left the meeting very upset simply because the same people that run and own the music industry are the same people that financed and dumped tons and tons of money to private prisons. And what they said they was going to do was criminalize the music industry and criminalize hip-hop to herd the young black masses into the prisons. With that said, Harry Hempy, America has the highest incarceration rate in the world. Where do you stand on private prisons, how incarceration relates to drug policies?
Would you repeat that?
Yes, sir.
The sound isn't real good here.
All right. I can use my rap voice if you want me to. America has the highest incarceration rate in the world. Where do you stand on private prisons and how incarceration relates to drug policies?
Okay, drug policies in prison. Let me answer in terms of marijuana. I'm a regular recreational marijuana user. And I believe people should be able to grow their own cannabis without restriction, whether that cannabis is industrial hemp or marijuana. I support the recreational marijuana industry based on the idea of regulating marijuana like alcohol. There are still criminal penalties and way too many people in jail who were in jail long before recreational marijuana. But overall, I'm glad that Colorado is a leader in the prejudicial war on drugs. But high business costs for marijuana and high sales taxes are still punitive in Colorado. The governor argued for high marijuana taxes because he predicted a large increase in marijuana usage and new costs to the state for law enforcement and marijuana addiction treatment centers. That hasn't happened. Marijuana use has stayed level in Colorado. So the legislature needs to review the cost of marijuana to the state and lower marijuana taxes accordingly. The external costs of tobacco use, consumption of alcohol, toxic agrochemicals, and fossil fuel development also need to be examined, and the external costs of those activities need to be collected in taxes either up or down. Thank you.
All right. Mike Donovan?
Under the rules, is it possible to take one of my minutes to create a 3-minute answer, or am I restricted to rebuttal?
2 minutes, and then you can have a 1-minute rebuttal after everyone's answered.
The drug laws in this country are the equivalent of the new Jim Crow. Right now, it's 7-1 people of color in prison. I've been on the board of Step 13, a rehab homeless shelter, for 14 years. Getting people work is almost impossible when they have a nonviolent drug offense. 75% of the DEA's revenue is derived from marijuana arrest and seizure. I was the only mayor in the Metro Mayor's Caucus, 41 mayors, to come out pro Amendment 64 to stop the war on drugs. Not only have we missed the boat in this crony deal put together by Hearst, DuPont, and their banker, Mellon, and the first drug czar, Andrew Mellon's son-in-law, Henry Anslinger, who took a train west to make sure that the full extent of the law was given to George Caldwell and Moses Baca. 4 joints landed them in hard labor in Leavenworth, Kansas, respectively 18 months and 4 years. This multi-trillion-dollar boondoggle has killed millions of people. The idea that we would continue such a charade is criminal. In Glendale, if you open a business of any kind, marijuana or otherwise, you have a $20 filing fee and no added taxes. We have a policy here, not like the state's policy. We call it common sense consumption. No matter what you're consuming, the common sense consumption idea is just don't be a jackass.
Mr. Matthew Hess.
Prior to the drug war, about 8% of our population was addicted to some form of narcotic. After the drug war, and it still rages on today, about 8% of our population is addicted to some form of narcotic. But what do we have to show for it? Tens of millions of lives and families destroyed, billions of dollars flushed down the toilet. To what end? Criminalizing an action that hurts no one but yourself. What we should be doing is advancing society and our civilization as a whole by ending the drug war today. We can better dedicate those resources to fighting real crime in Colorado. Over 20% of murders go unsolved last year alone in Colorado. The police should be out chasing those criminals, not the innocents they're harming today. Thank you.
All right.
Did you want a rebuttal?
No. Okay. Thank you.
All right, since all 3 of you agree that legalization of recreational marijuana is advisable, what do you feel about putting people in jail for cocaine or crack cocaine, since many of those people, especially crack cocaine, are spending decades in prison? And I guess it's to Mr. Dunafon.
Thank you, Mr. Bonniwell. The actual, according to LEAP, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, the actual number in 1930 of addiction was 1.3%. At that particular time, you could send away for heroin in the Montgomery Ward's catalog. You can go check out the videos and look at the stats. They're very interesting. And as you say, the number's still the same today. These are victimless crimes where the perpetrator is the victim. How do we create an industry out of someone victimizing themselves? And particularly when you look at cocaine, in the Jim Crow sense, is the most egregious example of it. A white guy's got an 8-ball, and a black guy's got a gram of rock. Guess which one goes to prison longer? This insanity has been developed into a multi-billion-dollar business. We have to stop that. We must stop it soon. The immigration problem is a war on drugs in their homeland. As they escape the war on drugs in their own homeland, they come here to get arrested for profit. These are very simple problems that can be fixed if we'll spend 10 minutes a day, accept the responsibility of our own liberty, and teach others what liberty is all about. Thank you.
Mr. Hess?
Well, cocaine and crack, it's interesting that crack is brought up. I'd like to share some information that not many know, and that is crack is an actual invention of the drug war itself, because people were looking for loopholes to get around it, to make things legal so they could enjoy something. So when cocaine became illegal, they switched and developed crack. It was an introduction because of the drug war. So yes, we should be pulling things back. Yes, we should be keeping people out of prisons. We should be lowering overall costs to society and instead treating it as a social issue and an individual issue instead of a community health issue or societal decay issue. Now, to the point of the actual number of addicted individuals, yes, I was talking directly before the drug war, as opposed to, well, back when basically they used to sell snake oil. Remember the old snake oil salesman at fairs? You could find cocaine and heroin in those bottles back then, and people took it and were no better or worse off for it sometimes. But when damage was done, those people were prosecuted. And that's exactly what we should be doing today, is prosecuting people for their transgressions against another, not themselves.
Mr. Hempy.
Thank you. Yeah, I think people ought to be able to put in their bodies whatever they want. They ought to be able to end their lives when they want. The biggest drug problem isn't heroin or cocaine or even tobacco. It's prescription medicine. More people die, have accidents from painkillers, narcotics that they got from their doctor than you will ever see from marijuana. That's it.
Thank you. Before we get to our last question, we're going to add in another question here, second to last. Something I'm very passionate about. As you can see, a lot of our sponsors up here on the screen, from Dr. Bronner's Magic Soaps to when you're on the way out the door, you can sign up on our email list and get a Nature Pass food, bar. That would be great, or just grab one. But these companies that really stick with, a certain way of doing things, in purity. So a budding issue, as we know in America, is the labeling of GMO foods and also fracking, separate, issue, with concerns of their effects on our food supply and water supply, respectively, with GMO on the ballot, with Colorado's Prop 105, and of course Oregon's Prop 92, which I believe David Bronner, Dr. Bronner's Magic Soaps, is very active with this year. Mara Linden on Facebook, social media, she asked, as governor, will you support labeling of GMO foods, and what are your policies in regards to fracking? So, Mr. Hess.
Okay. Well, I will be very transparent with you. I am voting against Prop 105. And the reasons I am doing so are, well, it has more holes than Swiss cheese. This is all about informed consent. And right now, as the bills currently stand, you cannot achieve informed consent with the number of exceptions and loopholes it has. It's a poorly worded bill. I might be able to support it if the people decided through ballot initiative that it is appropriate to use the force of government in order to provide that information to consumers. I see that as a worthy cause and would support it in that case, but we are not acting in an equal and fair manner to all food producers in doing so. In fact, we are favoring the junk food producers in some cases of the bill's language. And that being said, I'd like to point out this is an overall problem with government licensure because we are expecting government to do something well. And history has proven that just doesn't happen too often, if ever. So if we expect government to do something and do something well, I think the free market would be able to come up with a much better solution. If we use the UL example, something is UL listed. That's a private organization that certifies electronics, appliances in your home. You go home and look at the tag on your appliance, at the electrical cord, and you'll see it's UL certified. That's a private exchange occurring without the force of government requiring it. And yet this organization has managed to comfort consumers knowing that their electrical appliances won't burst into flames for decades now without the force of government.
Mr. Hempy, thank you.
Proposition 105 is the only initiative I'm going to be voting for this fall. I collected signatures for mandatory labeling of GMO foods this summer. I walked from the Capitol to the Secretary of State's office to deliver those petitions on October 4th. August 4th. That was the deadline. Coincidentally, August 4th is the same day Representative Jared Polis and the governor threw out the signatures of over 250,000 Colorado voters demanding a vote on the future of oil and gas drilling in the state. Back to GMOs. I avoid GMO engineered food products because GMO agriculture is dependent on herbicides, pesticides, and chemical fertilizers. Chemical agriculture has depleted soil quality and the nutritional value of our fruits and vegetables. Nitrogen runoff from America's heartland flows down the Mississippi River and has created a huge dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico. Public health and farming communities and farm workers are at continual risk from agricultural toxins. And proprietary ownership of seed by the agribusiness cartel, including Monsanto and Dow Chemical, threatens the ability of individuals and communities around the planet to feed themselves. We have a right to know what we're eating and how it is produced.
And Mr. Dunafon.
2 minutes to sew GMOs and fracking together.
Hey, you have 2 rebuttals. There's only one more
really?
question left. Yeah. Oh, your time already started. 15
Gregor
seconds.
Mendel, I understand. Gregor Mendel would be rolling over in his grave, so would Louis Pasteur. Gregor Mendel was the first one to genetically modify food. Louis Pasteur pasteurized milk. So, have any of you tried to drink raw milk when the SWAT team shows up at your door and kicks your door in because you're attempting to consume raw cow's milk? There's a government in action for you. GMOs. Now, we deprive starving people in Africa of genetically modified grains. We would rather see them starve to death. Give them a choice. Genetic modification, without knowing what it really is, can be one of the most destructive things we could do to our farm community. And once again, it is up to us to find out these answers. How do we expect a state we are fighting to tell us the truth? Monsanto attempted to give 475 tons of seed to the Haitian victims. They were prevented from doing so, and they said, they're government officials, because they did not want multinational seeds preventing these people from starvation. We stopped Africa from killing the mosquito with DDT. Since Rachel Carson's Silent Spring, we have killed 74 million Africans, all for their own good. It is up to us to start thinking on our own, not to follow a state we're trying to defeat.
Wonderful. A little bit of a twist here at the end. We're going to have our final question, but I wanted to also say a shout out there to a band called the Soul Pros. Let's shout out. They're going to be performing at the end of, the Soul Pros are going to be performing at the end of this debate. They've actually, I believe, opened for Public Enemy in the past, and saw them open up for KRS-One this past Saturday. So let's stick around and give them some support and loving, and so just wanted to say that. And I guess I just wanted to say last week I had a very amazing, empowering experience. I had seen the protest, and it can be elaborated more by those who firsthand have experienced it, of the youth, our high school students, really coming out on a situation. And I want to really welcome them. I went to the school last week, met and connected with fellow leaders, and I would love for them to come on the stage today right now and ask an amazing question and tell them a little bit about their story too, what they've been going through. So Sarah, everyone, please come on up on the mic here. Welcome. This is our youth. This is our future. High school students. Woo!
Thank you, Christina, for giving us a voice tonight. I have a question. Do we look like punks to you guys? Do we? Oh, thank you. Okay, we are representatives from Arvada West High School and also the Jeffco student population, and we are not punks and pawns, as said by Fox News. And we are the future.
A quick shout out to the graduate of Arvada West High School. I recognize you. Okay, so as representatives of Jefferson County Public Schools, we're wondering how you think personally and legislatively the public should handle the way the school board has been running our system. A lot of us, we voted for them, they were elected free and equally, but a lot of the decisions they have been making have been not really sitting well with the majority of people, me being one of them. I protested from 9:40 until 2, so I was protesting out there. I don't agree with them, but what do you think that we should do as a public to really sort this problem out?
Great, and the last one was Hess, so we're going to start off with Mr. Hempy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, what should you do in the Jefferson County School District? First of all, standing up and making yourself known is the right thing to do. I'm a grandfather. When I was your age or a little older, I think I was out for civil rights. I was protesting the Vietnam War, and for a long time I've been worried that people coming along weren't out with passion and somehow seem complacent. So it does my heart good to know that you're out there and that you care and that you are future leaders. As far as the school board goes, there's such pressure to privatize education, and I think we see that in Jefferson County, in Douglas County, in Denver County, where these days you have to be a millionaire to even get elected to the school board. And that's because of the private educational corporations that are trying to take over. It's the same problem whether you're running for governor or running for the school board. We need fair elections, and just get up and holler like hell when it's not going right. That's it.
Mr. Dunafon.
Congratulations. This is difficult to do. I taught high school for 9 weeks. I was coaching football and teaching oil painting, of all things, kind of a strange combo. I saw the writing on the wall. The administration was expanding in size, and with it, education was shrinking. In 1878, in this country, we had a 98% literacy rate without the public schools. Very interesting that to date, is still a record for a nation in literacy. Literacy was created by people who took it upon themselves to understand the critical idea that you will not flourish in life without an education. Now, when you endeavor to force that education a certain direction and don't allow you to choose or your families to choose what type of education you should have, in a collaboration, you will not be educated, you will be indoctrinated. And the indoctrination is in full force. That's what we're doing right now, and it is something that we can change. And I applaud you because you refuse to be indoctrinated.
Mr. Hess, thank you.
To directly answer your question, what can you do about it? Well, in 1948, Colorado ran a ballot initiative to establish the State Board of Education because their current head of education, the czar at the time, or the equivalent of today, was not really cutting the mustard. So they thought a board would do better, and it clearly has not. It sets the bar for the standards for the districts to follow. And from there, the districts can choose to meet that minimal bar or go above it a little. And it's really up to the districts at that point. We are predominantly local control in Colorado. I would love to see a ballot initiative eliminating the State Board of Education and the State Department of Education to give you total control. But from there, that still doesn't answer the question, what can you do? And it is a simple word, engage. Not just when there's a problem, but when there is, go there and speak your heart. Please do so. Go to your local school board when there's not a problem. You will find out the direction they are heading ahead of time and be able to fight these fights well in advance of the problems they create. So get engaged, get active, and stay that way.
Sarah, did you have anything further to say? Or anyone up there? I mean, you're our future, and you're heroes to me. They're heroes. I mean, really. Yeah.
So I did mention that I protested for a very long time. I lost my voice. I'm the kind of person that if I have an opinion, everyone is going to know about it. I'm very outspoken, and I can be a little sassy, and I know that, and I embrace it, because I can use it to my benefit. And I plan on leading everyone else in my group. Two of these people are 2 years younger than me. They're freshmen, I am a junior. I'm going to be voting. I can't wait to vote. It's something I'm very passionate about. I know he's excited to vote. He's the same age as me. I know these guys are going to vote when it's their turn. And I think that we have the right to choose what kind of candidate we want. I did sit in on the freshman class that she was there. It wasn't just freshmen. There was the awkward junior. Yeah. And afterwards, I did get spoken to by the teacher. He said that they really enjoyed having her come. Thank you so much for coming to our school and speaking with us. It was a lot of fun, and I'd like to have you do it again. I'll set it up with the principal and everything.
Count me in. I'll be there.
Okay, so I protested too, and even though I'm a freshman and I may not take AP history class, my niece, my grandkids, my future. It's about the future. It's not about just the now.
Just throwing this out there, history is my favorite subject. I want to learn it the way it was.
Wow.
Yeah. She can do it. She's thinking about it. Yeah, you. So, well, that was a moment, and let's give the high school students, my heroes of Arvada West High School, a huge, huge clapping, praise. Thank you.
All right.
What's that now? Yeah. I'll be seeing you at Arvada. Maybe some of the candidates here will come out there too. That would be great.
Well, I'm sorry.
Oh, I think we were closing statements.
Yeah.
All right.
I think it was Frederick Douglass that said that we may not get everything that we pay for in life, but we sure pay for everything that we get. And I just want to, in my own kind of way, applaud all of the candidates, because I don't normally do this, to be honest with you. And it's very inspiring to hear politics from the inside out. A lot of times we get people telling us what they plan on doing, and looking at their body language and their countenance, we know that they're lying. I'm talking about the Republicans and the Democrats, which we both know are two wings of the same damn bird. And so with words that I'm hearing today, I have to take another look at politics in a real way. And then to hear Jill, I really appreciate you. Let's give that woman a round of applause. Please, let's do that. I looked at politics through that narrow lens that I was given being a black man from the hood and traveling around the world using hip hop as a platform. I've met different people that have broadened that lens. But trusting people like, your friend Barry Davis, Barack Obama, whatever his name is, strike that from the record, C-SPAN, CNN, whatever. Trusting these kind of individuals with what they say, it's almost like what the Native Americans left us, and they said, people like Barack Obama speak with forked tongue. Thank you.
Yeah, let me give him a lesson. I also want to congratulate the candidates. They keep on telling you you're wasting your vote unless you vote for an R or a D. Does it sound like tonight you're wasting your time and wasting your vote? Bob O'Prey wasn't here. John Hickenlooper wasn't here. Why aren't they here? Because these guys would wipe the floor with them. So I want to thank you, the three of you, for speaking out and coming out tonight.
And just last thing, you should almost feel insulted that they didn't come. No, I'm serious. And call them to account for them not being here, because every single time there's critical issues put on the table in an open debate, we never see them. Am I right or wrong? All right, thank you very much.
We even had signs made for them. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. So I'll have a final comment, but we got to give our candidates a closing statement here. And I know, Hempy, you had the last question, so we're going to start off with Dunafon here, 2-minute closing statement, and it's wonderful. Please, go ahead, Mr. Dunafon.
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome. D and R, do not resuscitate the parties. How can we sit back and ask a state to fix a problem when the state is the problem? We can't. But in order for us to give up that comfort zone, we have to accept some responsibility. We must make change in our own lives first. We have to have an underlying philosophical basis for our thought process. There is an objective standard. There is a right and a wrong. 2 + 2 makes 4. It's a very simple but difficult thing to do every day of your life. I'm often asked, as a board member of Step 13, where do I begin in my recovery? Make your bed. Develop a habit that is good, and the rest of the habits will follow. Critically think. Demand that someone tells you the truth, and subsequently, you begin telling the truth. It's up to us. No one else is going to do this for us. This great experiment that was created so long ago has never been done, and it's about to be undone unless we change it. We are the only people who can change it. The people that are faced with what we see around the world today are trying to change their circumstances with a gun pointed at their head. Watch them, learn from them, change before the gun is pointed at our head. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Mr. Hess.
Well, once again, my name is Matthew Hess. Thank you for coming tonight, and thank you for Free and Equal for, again, putting this all together. I really appreciate it. I would like to tell you one thing, and that is why it is so important that a third party gets into the governor's office this fall. Because a third party, an independent candidate, eliminates the rubber stamp that the 2 parties currently have in that office. The executive is supposed to be a check upon the legislative branch, upon the General Assembly. We can make it what it was supposed to be once again, in the rubber stamps, and bring a check and balance to the two-party system itself. We can accomplish this fall if we work together. We can end the corruption. We can get seats on canvas boards. We can get into elections. We can begin to clean things up. We just have to believe not in chances of success, but in ourselves. And this fall, I ask you, please, vote with your heart, not on chances of success. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Mr. Hempy?
If you will have me be your governor for the next 4 years, I will work to raise wages, which have been declining for decades, so workers will get a livable compensation for a full day's work. Towns and cities in Colorado need to be allowed to establish their own minimum wage, their own living wage, and the state forbids that now. That's the first bill I want to sign. I will work on a sound, stable, fair taxation system for Colorado in which those who benefit the most pay their fair share. And finally, I will work for a free and equal election system that allows any of us to be candidates for public office, regardless of our political affiliation or our access to money. So, I'll close with George Washington's admonition to the people that he wrote in 1796 about the problems of two-party government. Quote, "The alternate domination of one faction over another, sharpened by the spirit of revenge, natural to party dissension, is itself a frightful despotism. It is in the interest and duty of a wise people to discourage and restrain it." So you have the power to create multiple party government this fall in Colorado. Vote your values. Whether you align with green values, libertarian values, or anything else. Resist the fear, or independent. Resist the fear of the other side winning, spewed by Democrats and Republicans alike in their corporate-sponsored paid political propaganda. Vote your values, not your fears. Be the change you want to see. Thank you.
I want to end on this note that I've been at this for 15 years of my life, since I was, again, 17 years of age, and in order to overcome the system, it becomes more of an energy of interconnectedness, of coming together, vibrations. I'm learning today, just hearing Griff, doing interviews, learning, and really being open-minded, and again, recognizing that giving up is not an option. The system wants us to give up. Again, if we give up, we become a part of the problem. So a wise man I look up to, of many, many once said, if you're ever going to bring about a revolutionary change, two things would need to be involved: the youth we had tonight, and music. So many of you may know this last May we held a United We Stand festival out in Los Angeles. Thousands of people came. We had founders of Wu-Tang Clan there. Immortal Technique, man, that guy is cool. Griff seems to think he is too, right, Griff? Yeah, he's right. He's cool, Felipe Corno. And many speakers like Dr. Jill Stein and spiritual author, writer Marianne Williamson, New York Times bestselling author, right? She recently ran for Congress in California. And so many more, and amazing sponsors that are up on that board now. I recognize, respectfully so, I see Mr. Hess, Hempy. I see you all as independents in my eyes. I see you all as individuals. I've gotten to know you. Mike Dunafon now, an independent. It's amazing. And I foresee in the future that parties are going to fade away.
Right.
They don't work. I've tried to work even within the national third parties, and they're totally separate from the state. These gentlemen, I'm sure, they can speak for themselves. And I've seen firsthand corruption even within the national, respectfully so, third parties, of course, D's and R's. And parties attract people who want power, and there's a reason why parties are not mentioned in our Constitution. So, on that note, I foresee a movement outside of the two-party system of independent, individual people, like all these on the stage today and everybody here with me in this, running for office, getting engaged in the voting process, addressing voting methods. We're going to be holding a voting methods conference here November 15th, here in Denver, Colorado. I hope you can make it. I hope you can sign up on the way out, grab your Nature Pass bar. And then next June, we're going to set a date for the United We Stand Festival here in Denver, Colorado. Let's give a thanks to our candidates. Let's do it. Thank you, candidates. Chuck Bonniwell, the Glendale Chamber of Commerce. Chuck, we could not have done it without him. Jeff Allen. And Professor Griff, a Public Enemy. Two things we need if we're ever going to bring about a revolutionary and evolutionary change. We're going to need youth and music. So let's welcome the Soul Pros to our stage. Come on, Soul Pros, welcome up. Thanks, guys.
One, two. What's up, everybody? How you guys doing this evening? Yeah, that's the spirit. My name is Pablo Key. I got my man Mike Word right here. We are two parts of the Soul Pros. Our DJ AL is in here, but we're still gonna rock for y'all tonight. You guys ready? If you're ready, say yeah. Say oh yeah. Can we get this mic up, sir? Get this mic up. 1, 2. Yeah. 2. 1, 2. Soul Pros. Can you hear us? Mic 2 up. Turn mic 2 up. You looking at a brown skin, soul mellow brother in the mix, left fist raised. Let them know we still exist up in this maze. Where the journey to the end, more important than the finish, change percolating within. While they working all our in, turn us into heartless, mindless souls. Living in compartments, living in the darkness, hiding behind screens. I have to build community, shining like high beams, vibrantly rising. Know your self-worth, put your physical, mental, and spiritual health first. Row with artists, activists, educators on a quest, grinding hard to the weight of the world on their chest. Yes, lifted. At least for a split second, making all that work worth it now. Living in the present for my advocates to change. Staying on the grind. Your work's not in vain at this moment in time. No, your work's not in vain at this moment in time. It's more work, hold the lane, keep your focus in line. One time for my people with change on their mind. Show my mic up. No, your work's not in vain at this moment in time. It's more work, hold the lane, keep your focus in line. One time for my people on that activist grind. Yeah. I 1, 2, I write raps in the book of life and illustrate on the mic what life's looking like. And pictures with the words that you should recite. If you coulda, you woulda in the hood tonight. I used to bring forth to light what the hood ignites. It's like stepping up, even when you're shook from fright. The pure adrenaline, telling them yo, hook or right. It takes a lot to manage the damage you took tonight. And on any other evening, weekend warriors. Don't mean to spoil your fun, a straight boy, yeah, that's life. And it's way much more than this. Why these suckers on a mission to change more than less? That's not exciting to me, not inviting to me. Telling the truth to the world, but you're lying to me. Whatever though, hope they catch y'all soon. We'll be waiting, debating how to get y'all through. It's like, yes, y'all. Y'all get with us, put your hands in the air. If you're down for free and equal elections. Yo, know your work's not in vain at this moment in time. It's more work, hold the lane, keep your focus in line. One time for my people with change on their mind. And if mine's a needy, I needs to feed mine. Know your work's not in vain at this moment in time. It's more work, hold the lane, keep your focus in line. Yeah, y'all, it's about that time. Yes, y'all. We are the Soul Pros, short for the Soul Proclaimers of South Culture. And we represent this hip hop culture to the fullest. We know that our culture has been co-opted, but you know we still rap for our own truth, justice, peace, unity, love, and having fun. Y'all know what it is. So big ups to all the people that were on the stage here today. Yeah. Thank you to our elder, Professor Griff, for holding it down. And let's see some elected officials that are going to speak up for poor folks. Hey, can y'all hear us out there? Yeah. Hey, can y'all hear us out there? Hey, if you can't hear us, tell the sound man, turn it up. Say, turn it up. Hey, we need more in the mic, sound man, please. Purdy, please. Por favor. Purdy, please. All right, here we go. This next song, y'all can check it out online. It's called Give a Poor Man a Break. And, you know, musicians, a lot of us, we put our heart and soul into this, and we get paid nothing for it. And you know what I'm saying? That's what sucks. But what are we gonna do about it? You know, we do what's right. We do what we feel from the heart. So let's do this. Hey, we got a music video for this too on Strike TV. This song's called Give a Poor Man a Break. Yeah. You got what it takes, 'cause we are the Soul Pros and these are the days. Here's a little story I got to tell about crooked politicians that we know so well. I told y'all once, I told y'all twice. Keep telling y'all until the end of the night, 'cause the whole world is ready to exhale. Whole world's ready to rebel. Tell your homies on the block, hit the streets, the music to Brazil, the rich just rob and steal. Old times are chill, nonchalant, but it's time to fight back like my name was Tucson. Just being honest, I'm sick of the nonsense. Who owns this earth to keep up with the Joneses? They corrupt as hell, we know that. It ain't hard to tell, it don't take much to show that. Decker said it's like a slap in the face. Got the whole entire girl screaming, that's the rest. You gotta get a poor man a break. Get a poor man a break. Can you get a poor man a break? Get a poor man a break. Y'all get a poor man a break. We gotta get a poor man a break. Can you get a poor man a break? Give a poor man a break. Check it. A few years ago, a friend of mine told me to fight for my right to find. Gonna free my kind and see why crime really exists. I gotta free my mind. Sharper than a suit knife. Lift you right up out of the shit you like. Maybe it's a whole new world, a whole new ball game. I'll show you, girl. Can't stop the rock, won't stop the rock. Sucker MCs need to get off the job, 'cause the rich get richer while the poor stay poor. So why you all worried like you Georgia boys? Kissed all the girls and made them all cry in the oldest fashion just to get by. While my baby stay stuck in development stages, navigating through the cities, one hell of a maze. You gotta get a poor man a break. Can you get a poor man a break? We gotta get a poor man a break. Everybody! Can you get a poor man a break? Get a poor man a break. Gotta get a poor man a break. Everybody! Sitting back laughing as we go to war. Don't care about killings if it's poor on poor. Living in a mansion, making shit up galore. Too busy trying to be like them to settle the score. I can glamorize it in a bling I got. When he criticized it, Dr. King got shot in the face. Bitter taste it and left in a place. Hit the brakes 'cause we sick of the maze. Yo, enough is enough, but folks don't got much. Now the American dream just means get locked up. Perfect example how to rob and steal. It's fractional banking has got us all ill. Even if it goes right over your head, it's still in a pocket that got rights over your bread. Don't believe us? Check the IRS. Get more money in it, might start stress. Yeah, y'all. We love y'all. Yeah, y'all. Before we get this next track started, we got a special guest, MCAD of the Freedom Movement. Wandering monks in a place to be.
Working. We need that other mic. Killing, dying, stealing, crying. Yeah. Misplaced motivation. Corporations across the globe controlling nations. The culmination of people that don't know they way in on the outside. Mouths wide open aching. Bellies tell me that the hell we in is more than making a profit off the clock and off the fornication. Watch the Vatican like Anakin, they quarter mason. Quarter politician, banker, and they more than hating. Food, clothes, shelter, water, air, transportation, transportation, design. While the land's more wasted and more vacant. Resources hoarded ain't shit. To the transnationals, ain't nothing sacred. They stay frontin' on our love of the ancients. Now we all just on a modern day slave ship. Grinning the block is all for our generation. It's gentrification, most work for money, we work for education.
Letting it control you. It can manipulate, consume you, and mold you.
Hey y'all,
it's been known to buy souls too. How can you pull yourself up by the bootstraps if you got no shoes? Old news, stress and strife. The cause of pain beat down on a restless night. As if hardships ingrained arguments and fights. True reason why the young die in wars while fighting for the stars and stripes. All for the force of greed. There's more to life and definitely more to me. Until infinity we stand against these corporate thieves. Alongside the 99, not the 1% ruling class authorities. Some of y'all in bed still, sleeping on the fact that it's about to get real. They want us dead still or running on a treadmill. Business as usual in the matrix. Take the blue pillar. Take the purpose of it and what's the meaning of it. Some people working for it, some people scheming for it, while others killing for it. Some brothers dying for it, while others stealing for it, and mothers crying over it. So what's the purpose of it? What's the meaning of it? Some people working for it, some people scheming for it, some others killing for it, brothers dying for it, while others stealing for it, and mothers crying over it. While people living for the paper trails, Rockefeller, usury, and economic jails. People living for the hope of getting out of debt, to buy a freedom of justice and due respect. Like 40 acres in the school, we ain't seen it yet. We trying to educate the youth and keep their heads in check. We know respect. Respect ain't found in something hollow. Ignorant sheep, you got a few to follow. But with hip-hop culture alive in Colorado, it's the people's revolution. And we manifest solutions for the paper games. Yo, we manifest solutions for the paper games. For the paper games. I meet the people at the Fed, burn it down in flames. Cause all this fake paper money got you locked in chains. And illusion is confusing most of people's brains. But it's the love of the cabbage that turns my people sad. So what's the purpose of it? And what's the meaning of it? Some people working for it, some people scheming for it, while others killing for it, and brothers dying for it, while others stealing for it, and mothers crying over it. So what's the purpose of it? And what's the meaning of it? Some people working for it, some people scheming for it, while others killing for it, and brothers dying for it, and others stealing for it, and mothers crying over it. So what's the purpose? Meaning. Peace and love to the world.
Scheming.
Peace to Jill Stein, Christina, and all the good people.
Stealing.
Yeah.
Crying. Yeah, thanks, y'all. Big up my girl, Jill. Without Jill, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So we standing on the shoulders of those that come before us. Big up my sister Shark. My man Winston. We're going to give him his code name.
Thank you to We Are Change.
We Are Change. What up, Bill? Green Party. I'm down.
Free and equal.
Yeah.
Make some noise for yourself, y'all. Peace out. We are the Soul Pros.
Thanks, y'all.